Morning and welcome back to the KR Daily Transmission. My name is Kaia and I'm the author of the Sophia Code for those who are just tuning in for the first time live to this channel. So this month we are dedicating our practices and our readings of the Sophia Code to self-love. And yesterday we had the great joy of exploring Ascended Master Quan Yin's amazing chapter in the Sophia Code, chapter 11, which is this cinematic story about her life in her own words. It includes revelatory teachings on self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, and raising your self-esteem as a child of God. And it meant so much to me to be able to share with each of you live on our consecutive French translation journey yesterday on YouTube, the depth of my love and respect for Quan Yin and how much her mentorship as an Ascended Master spiritual guide has changed my life. And I really credit her along with Mother Mary and Isis, as I shared about that trinity of healing in yesterday's YouTube live, there's a trinity of healing that happens with Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, and Ascended Master Isis, but it's a trinity that has Kuan Yin at the forefront, leading that trinity of healing. And what we shared about in yesterday's YouTube live is just how much Kuan Yin understands the depth of whatever it is that you're going through or experiencing in your heroic human journey. And I call the human journey heroic because from my perspective, I firmly believe that being human is a heroic task. The depth of inner dialogue, the depth of external output, the depth of the journey we go on to deprogram from the matrix and to build new belief systems in our sovereign divinity. I mean, it's a heroic, courageous task that we are asked to live in our daily life, one step at a time. And I love Kuan Yin's teachings on what she calls Karuna compassion that began on page 249 in the Sophia Code. If you have your copy of the Sophia Code, feel free to pull it out. We're going to read a paragraph out loud together and reflect upon what Kuan Yin was asking me to speak about for today's daily transmission. So this section, Kuan Yin teaches the path of Karuna compassion, begins on page 249, and we're going to go to paragraph 5, which is actually on page 250. So if you're just joining us live now, welcome you. I welcome you. My team angels welcome you in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, please be sure to say hello and where you're watching this video from. We love getting to know our Earth Angels. We love getting to know our community members through our online experiences, because then we get to know you before we meet you at our live events, which are happening all this year. Our Sovereign Soul events. Our next event is in Austin, Texas, for the Sovereign Spiritual Leadership Conference and in Training Immersive. And we just downloaded all the information. I'm going to be posting it this next week for our the Ankh of Phoenix Fire ceremony, which is our opening ceremony in Austin. And when you know it, Isis and Kuan Yin came through for this Ankh of Phoenix Fire ceremony. And oh my God, the potency of what's going to be coming through for us in Austin live. Oh, it was really special to start my morning with my team working on that content. So one of the one of the life-changing pearls, I should say, that we're going to read about in this paragraph on page 250 can be applied to both your personal, individual, day-to-day journey, and it can also very much be applied to spiritual leadership. And that's the beauty of the Sophia Code. One of the many beautiful things about the Sophia Code, you can read the book for your own personal awakening. And then the more you read the Sophia Code, the more you integrate the teachings, especially with our mystery school curriculums, you start to identify that the whole time the Sophia Code has been talking to you about your divine purpose and your own spiritual leadership the whole time you were reading the book. But when we first approach the codex, it's so activating. It's releasing so much from our past lives and our spiritual DNA, and activating our spiritual DNA. Releasing from our physical and emotional and mental layers of our body, and activating our spiritual DNA. That what happens is the first couple of reads to the Sophia Code, you're really just bringing yourself online and grounding your higher self's consciousness within your body. As you learn how to integrate your higher self's consciousness, as you begin to practice self-love as part of your daily walk of your journey with the Ascended Masters and your spiritual guides, you over time become increasingly aware that there's a divine purpose calling you forward to be seen in your gifts and your skills and your talents as a leader. And as many of you know, leadership for me is service. That's how I define leadership. It's showing up to serve the heart of humanity in some capacity, in some role where you are fully present and fully giving of your gifts and talents and your heart and your love and your own compassion that you direct to yourself. There's an overflow that you direct to others. Leadership can happen in any industry, in any field, any career. And so when we put the word spiritual in front of leadership, what we're saying is we're leading and we're serving others through the spirit of our divinity, through the light of our sovereign divinity. And the leadership principles that I teach from the Ascended Masters can be applied to any career path and any form of service where you are showing up and being a part of this gift of life that we've been given. So let's turn our attention to this paragraph 3 on page 250. And this is reading from chapter 11 in the Sophia Code. These are the words of Quan Yin. And when I asked her which passage she wanted me to read this morning, she clearly showed me this paragraph 3 times. That's how I always know that I'm receiving correct information. If I receive the same answer 3 or more times, then I know I'm receiving clear divine guidance and to act upon it. And I asked her the first time she showed me this paragraph, are you sure? That's a little bit heavy for a KR daily transmission first thing in the morning. And she's like, it might be intense, but it's exactly what we need to focus upon this morning. She said, there's going to be people watching live and on the replay that really need this content today. And I said, okay, Quan Yin, you lead the way and I will follow. I will serve as you ask. And that's just what leadership is. You're listening and you're showing up and you're being willing to be seen with what your soul and your guides are asking you to be seen in that day. So this is where I'm being seen in my leadership. I'm showing up to what Quan Yin asked me to share with you today. Let's read this passage on page 250 of the Sophia Code together. Good morning and bonjour. So good to see everyone coming online. Okay, the words of Quan Yin. No one else's opinion is required to acknowledge, quantify, or qualify your authentic experience of suffering for it to be real for you. Practicing Karuna compassion does not require anyone else's approval or participation for you to receive the compassion that you deserve. Everything happening within you is here to be unconditionally honored by you without needing anyone else's permission to do so. Karuna compassion is taking the time to be present with your authentic experience and being kind to yourself in every way. And I'm just going to read the next sentence from the next paragraph. The quantum healing energy of Karuna takes your awareness directly to the root belief systems of your original wounds so that you may love those places within you that feel abandoned and unlovable. For that is the magic of Karuna. It is the compassion within you that is willing to love what you believe is unlovable, unforgivable, or lacking within yourself. In the practice of Karuna compassion, your own heart becomes your resource for receiving unconditional self-love and self-acceptance. This is extremely powerful teachings. This is the fierce grace of Quan Yin coming in. Can you feel that Kali Ma energy through this Quan Yin Kiko 6 transmission? It's that fierce divine mother reassurance that is speaking to those parts of you whenever, that she's saying, don't give your power away to others. So have you ever been in a conversation with someone where you keep trying to explain how you feel, but they're just not getting it? Or you're trying to prove a point about something that's extremely important to you, but again, that person or that group is just simply not receiving the message. And when it comes to places and spaces within us that feel unlovable, unforgivable, or lacking within ourselves, when we are trying to manage those very traumatic feelings and those very uncomfortable feelings through codependency, what happens is we go seeking for others to acknowledge and affirm the reasons for why we don't feel lovable or forgivable or whole within ourselves. And so there's what I call is intersecting wounds. When you feel magnetized to this kind of codependent behavior where you're looking to love yourself because other people give you permission to love yourself, the only thing that's going to happen, well, one or two things, your wounding is going to bump up against someone else's wound because you're looking for love in all the wrong places. If you're looking to give yourself permission to love yourself by seeking the approval of others first, to love you first and acknowledge those places within you first, what happens is, unless it's in a therapeutic context with a licensed, trained specialist that can turn you back to your own heart, if you're just going to a friend or a family member and it's coming from this codependent place, they're not going to be able to meet you there. That wounding is going to actually trigger their own wounding. Or if they are really healthy and whole in their own sovereignty, they're going to be like, that's not for me to say for you. They'll turn you back to your own heart and say, you have to give permission to yourself to love yourself. No matter, I love you, but no matter how much I love you, it can't change how you feel about you. And so that's what sovereignty looks like. Sovereignty is identifying what Quan Yin is teaching here. She's saying your own heart becomes your resource for receiving unconditional self-love and self-acceptance. So when you are in your sovereignty, when you are embodying your sovereignty, you understand that your direct connection to God, source, whatever you call that, Holy Spirit energy, is the source of all love. And that source of all love created your heart to be a source of love and of unconditional love for yourself. And when these places within us arise that feel unlovable, unforgivable, or lacking, we take time to pause, bring our hands to our hearts, and practice what we've been talking about in this week's videos, which is, I love you and I'm listening. I'm here for you. You are obviously ready to have another conversation about how you want to remember the wholeness that we are. I am, right? We're having these conversations with different parts of our consciousness and a bit of an externalized experience to bring back into that unified field, all of the parts of ourselves into alignment with that truth, that one self-truth, that you are loved, you are whole, you are forgivable, you are magnificent. And so I invite you to practice something today. If you find yourself in a situation where you're looking for someone's attention or approval or a sign of their love for you. And it's just really not going the way you thought it was going to go in that conversation. You can either quietly or excuse yourself, say out loud to yourself, I love you and I accept you exactly as you are, exactly where we're at in this conversation. And whether this person or these people understand what you are feeling and experiencing and believe in, it does not matter, because I believe you. I believe you and I accept you and I love you and I have faith in you. And there is a solution, whether or not this person or these people understand where you're coming from. And I'm going to stand with you and advocate through self-love for you to feel this about yourself, or let's have this conversation where, we discover the resources you need for healing this place within you. These are the inner sovereign dialogues, conversations of self-love that Quan Yin is inviting us into. And when I have personally had this experience, which I don't have as much anymore, because I have been practicing this dialogue for so long that even if I am in an interesting moment of conflict with someone, I immediately go to loving and approving my own perspective. And then you can take it even one step further, where if you love yourself so much and you accept yourself so much for what you need to accept about yourself, you don't even need anyone else's approval. Like the need falls away. And further, you start to open to the possibility of their own perspective as well. So it really becomes a sovereign dialogue where your foundation is so strong in your own self-love that it allows the other person or people their sovereign space to be in their own truth. And no one necessarily has to be wrong about anything, unless, of course, we're speaking about an abusive situation where boundaries are being crossed that are unhealthy. That is a different conversation. But if we're just simply talking about the day-to-day life of interacting with others, and sometimes those interactions feel really in alignment, and sometimes they bring in conflicts that that are also in alignment, but those conversations are in alignment with teaching us, our own worth, our own boundaries, our own perspective, our own value, regardless of what the other person thinks, feels, or believes about it. The more you can love and accept and believe in yourself outside of anybody's opinions or affirmations of how you feel about yourself, there is this quiet inner strength and satisfaction in being who you are that grows and cultivates and even unfurls you into your personal power in unexpected and miraculous ways. What is the goal of loving ourselves this much? It's to be deep, it's to feel deeply fulfilled and satisfied from being yourself, from enjoying yourself, from affirming yourself. And from that space of so much self-acceptance and upliftment, your self-esteem rises. You start to feel your sovereignty, creating new liberated experiences that are joyful, prosperous, and co-creative with other people that are abiding in the truth of their wholeness as well. Does it mean that we become these perfect robotic people? No. Self-love is a daily moment by moment journey where we discover that the more we love ourselves, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are that are rising and falling outside of ourselves, because self-love is the process of understanding that we've got our own backs. We're holding our own hearts. As Quan Yin says, no one else's opinion is required to acknowledge, quantify, or qualify your authentic experience. So she says that of suffering for it to be real for you, but it could be your authentic experience of happiness. It could be your authentic experience of fulfillment. It could be your authentic experience of creativity. No one else's opinion is required to acknowledge, quantify, or qualify your authentic experience of joy for it to be real for you. I invite you to take that sentence as a mantra today and to explore what are the different facets of your relationship with life that you are seeking to empower through self-love. I invite you to lean into that, the edges of that sentence, and be playful and creative with how it can support your consciousness to really let go of trying to control the affirmations from others or energies from others that could temporarily assuage difficult feelings, and instead to get really invested and consciously curious about this adventure of self-love. Like, what kind of greater freedom is it going to invoke for you? What level of more compassionate, in-depth connection with others is it going to be providing for you? How are you going to feel the strength and grace of your higher self embodiment in new ways as you commit to really honoring and authenticating your own perspective, your own feelings, your own thoughts and beliefs, even if those thoughts, beliefs, and perspectives change over time? It's not about us being attached to the meaning of every one of our feelings and every one of our thoughts. We are bringing value to the human experience, or bringing value to your courage for being willing to be human and to experience the full spectrum of emotions that comes with being a human. How is this landing for you? I'm going to head over to the chat just to see how everyone's doing. So, have you had an experience where you have paused? It's so good to see everybody's comments. I'd love to read some comments in the chat where this is landing for you. Have you experienced giving away your power to others, hoping they could affirm for you what you were really feeling what you really needed to be feeling for yourself? Have you been exploring through your self-love practice what it feels like to really step into the power of acknowledging your true feelings? Chelsea is writing in. Good morning, Chelsea. Lovely to see you. Writing has helped me just to lay it out. So good to hear that. I receive so much self-affirmation and self-healing through my writing practice as well. Thanks for sharing about your practice, Chelsea. Kathy is writing in. Good morning. Good morning, Kathy. Let's see. Ton Van Deren is saying, I'm far from feeling my mentors nearby, but I know they are loving me. That's so honest, and I'm so grateful to read your reflections. I'd like to just share with you that part of self-love is doing exactly what you're doing right there. You are affirming that love is there, whether you can feel it or not. And that's the kind of commitment practice that allows for huge breakthroughs to happen, where we feel our mentors and guides in prolific ways that we've never felt them before, because we've ridden out the storm where we somehow separated ourselves from feeling their love unconsciously, but then we come back through that validation of the self-love practice. It brings us back to an even deeper sense of knowing. Thank you for sharing that. Sarah is writing in, I'm currently weaving forgiveness and grief with a very angry 17-year-old part of myself. I'm double that age, and meeting this young woman within me is such an initiation. It's huge. I'm leaning into Quan Yin's chapter. Sarah, my heart goes out to you. There is nothing more ruckus than a healing inner teenager. I 100% am with you in this prayer. I know our team angels are with you in this prayer. Thank you for your honesty. And just keep having those loving dialogues with that part of yourself. The interesting thing about having really difficult, challenging conversations with our inner teenager is that it usually leads to our divine purpose and our spiritual leadership, our relationship with creativity. So it's exciting to hear that your 17-year-old inner teenager is really speaking up and that she is demanding these conversations with you, because what it means is you are getting ready to step into your personal power in on a whole nother level. And I'm really, really excited for you. Thanks for sharing. Let's see. Amy is writing in, my experience is that I've been witnessing myself in subtle ways, looking for or adjusting my words behavior to stay within certain margins when I'm around others. Thank you for sharing, Amy. Amy is sharing about how she feels like she's censoring herself around others. And so I invite you, Amy, in your prayer of self-love to really ponder the words of Isis. It is safe to be seen. It is safe to lead. And your higher self is only ever going to guide you to say the words that you really need to say in any given situation. Your higher self is not looking to put you in any form of danger or, immediate experiences of judgment, unless it would be a profound learning experience for you. And even if that were to happen, your higher self is only ever going to present you with situations that you can absolutely navigate based on the strength of where you stand today. So I want to thank you for being so honest in your reflections, and I invite you to explore how this passage, no one else's opinion is required to acknowledge, quantify, or qualify your authentic experience to be real for you, to really take that in and savor those words that were written just for you from Quan Yin, to liberate your relationship with others in a profound new way. Victoria is writing in, I like the clarity you gave about sharing our deep thoughts and feelings with others who don't get it, because if I feel hurt when they don't, it means I'm being codependent with them. Yep. And that's not easy. That's not an easy one, because there's parts of us that are just crying out so much to be acknowledged. And we're taught from the earliest of ages that if we just reach out to someone above us, like a parental figure or a teacher, or maybe a spiritual something in our early church life or temple life, it's like somebody will be there to assuage the hard feelings. And this is what Kuan Yin is guiding us into, with divinely parenting ourselves. And really embracing our inner child, our inner teenager, and all the ages within us that absolutely deserve to be acknowledged, but acknowledged by our own hearts first. You want to hear something really interesting about all this? When we start loving ourselves and acknowledging ourselves first, the irony of this is that other people start acknowledging our feelings without us even asking them to. It kind of lines, it's very connected to the law of attraction. As challenging as that sounds, it's like we often so deeply want to receive that acknowledgement from others first, right? It goes along with that same concept of like a partnership, where you have to truly love your own heart first before you can magnetize a partner that actually can love you as well, because you're actually open to receiving someone who actually can be in love with you because you love your own heart first. So when we start to acknowledge, honor, accept, believe in our own hearts first, the miracle, the irony of this is, through the law of attraction, we start attracting other people that are healthy and whole within themselves, that are affirming their own inner reality, their own inner journey, their own heroic human story, so much so to their own hearts that it's very easy for them. They're very willing and capable to see and acknowledge your own strength, your own courage, your own worth and value. So as we raise our self-esteem, as we really commit to this journey of knowing our worth, accepting our hearts, shining our light, allowing ourselves to be seen in this self-love, there's an invitation to where so many people become magnetized and attracted to that reflection, because it's a mirror for them as well. And I just love all of these comments coming in. There's so many beautiful comments. Erin is writing in, she's saying, yes, I needed this message today. A reminder to honor my own experiences and intuition and to give myself self-love. Thank you. You're welcome. Heaven on Earth is writing in, how can we allow ourselves to be in flow again? I feel as if all my chakras are tied up and stiff. Thank you so much for your poignant and authentic question. So I think this is a great place to close today's transmission. And that's in the remembrance, not to sound like a broken record, but honestly, getting in the flow is connected to how much you're loving and accepting yourself. When we are not accepting ourselves, when we are maybe hating ourselves or abandoning ourselves, sabotaging ourselves, unconsciously separating from our source, these are ways that we punish ourselves out of our self-love. These are ways that we keep ourselves stagnant and keep ourselves in a controlled state, because there's a part of us deep down that's terrified. When we feel stiff or contracted or controlling, what does that really mean? It means that we're not practicing what these teachings are that Quan Yin is sharing. We don't need anyone else's opinion to begin loving ourselves. We need to be honoring our own opinion that we are worthy of our own love. We are worthy of our own acknowledgement, and we are worthy of taking the time, creating the sacred space to step into a sacred space of self-forgiveness, self-honor, a deep examination of our heart, of our past, and of our future, of our heart's purpose for being here, and to be in that stillness and the listening through the I love you practice. Like, I love you and I'm listening. I love you. This is very difficult for me right now. I have a lot of hard feelings about it, but I'm listening. I'm listening because now I understand that to be in the flow of life, to stay in alignment with all of the activations of my higher self, I have to be in this daily relationship with my own heart. I have to be willing to say, I love you to my own heart, even when I don't feel like it or want to, because the next part of me that is arising to be healed, to be revealed and healed, has a lot of hard opinions about what happened. And so when we feel stuck and stagnant, it is a deep, deep, deep call to go within and to receive the support that we deserve to navigate those choppy waters and to be able to sail that ship into a more harmonious place within us. It requires being present to the storm within. And so I want to assure everyone, if you are alive and watching this video, your chakras are working. They are, it's not possible for you to be alive if your chakras are completely shut down. And with that said, when we feel as though, or, you know, again, contractions or stiffness, or, you know, there's that control, again, I'm going to say this again because it's so important to hear. And this is why I created the Soul Power Journey curriculum that's available on my website. It means that there's a part of us that's terrified of something that happened in the past. And it's time to listen through love. And if we need to find the resources of support, whether it's, you know, a therapist, healing mentor, or coach or guide, along, of course, with the Ascended Masters, your spiritual guides and guardian angels, and your direct relationship with God, like, it takes a village to heal the heart. And when you are receiving those support systems, if they are sovereign and whole support systems, they're always going to guide you back to your own heart. You're not looking to a therapist to give you permission to feel. The therapist is saying, or the coach or the counselor saying, here's a sacred space for you to feel all of it, and I will be your witness. I will be your witness so that you do not feel alone. But again, there is not a counselor or a therapist or a coach in the whole entire universe that can do the act of loving your own heart for you. And so this is why I personally trust Quan Yin and all of the Ascended Masters of the Sophia Code so much, because they're guiding us through our sovereignty. They say in chapter 4 of the Sophia Code, we cannot do this journey for you, but we can walk side by side with you every step of the way. It's an extraordinary gift that we're being given through the Sophia Code, these direct mentor relationships with these Ascended Master Key Code teachers. And in particular, Quan Yin as an Ascended Master of compassion and this journey of self-love that she went on in chapter 11 of the Sophia Code. If you haven't read chapter 11 of the Sophia Code, read it from the beginning to the end out loud. It is like stepping inside a movie theater, watching her life, experiencing both her extreme suffering and her ecstatic bliss. And you will be inspired so deeply by the magic, the mystery, and the power of the Key Code 6 transmission, the Sophia Code. Most importantly, you'll discover a best friend and an incredible multidimensional mentor that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And one of the ways that you can kickstart your journey with Quan Yin is you could download a picture of her from the internet, print that up, maybe put it on your desk or your altar. We have our jewelry that helps anchor your connection with Quan Yin as a mentor every day. This is the Quan Yin Mala. I have the Phoenix Child wrist cuff on that helps me, that has verses from the Sophia Code engraved into it on the Phoenix Child teachings. And you can read the Sophia Code out loud. You can take a bath and invoke Quan Yin to be there right by your side. Maybe put some rose petals into the bathtub. You could also invoke Quan Yin and Isis. You can pray over your water. I have a glass of water right here. This is what praying over your water looks like. It's like, I fill this water with the love and compassion of my higher self. I ask this water to be imprinted with my highest healing energy. And I ask Quan Yin's brilliant aquamarine and pink rose quartz ray light to fill this water and structurally recharge this water to deeply serve every cell of my body. Thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. And so it is. And you're going to feel the light that you just invoked and the prayer that you invoked being infused into the structure of the water. And then guess what? It's just as simple. You just drink the water. Prayers done and answered. So I hope you feel inspired to go deeper with your relationship with Quan Yin today. If you haven't watched the YouTube live from yesterday, where I did a whole dissertation on our chapter, that's on the channel as well. Thank you for liking this video. Please be sure to add your comments in the video replay if you're watching the replay. And if you're new to my channel and you're enjoying the KR Daily Transmissions, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Your subscription helps support the Sophia Code movement, reaching hearts and minds worldwide. It's been so much fun to be here live with you today. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow here at 8 a.m. Pacific. All my love to you. Namaste.